So today I'm going to show you guys how to use Google Calendar or whatever similar calendar system you like to use when you're a projects-oriented person. This is actually kind of a part one because in a couple weeks I will be doing a tutorial for a planner that is reusable, a DIY planner that is reusable, and it kind of goes in correlation with whatever calendar you're using, which is why I'm showing how to use Google Calendar if you are a projects-oriented person. So there's a couple different styles of working. There are time-oriented people, which most of the world is set up for, because it starts when you're really young, right from school age. You get up at a certain time, you go to school at a certain time, you work for a set amount of time on one subject, and then the teacher says it's time to move on to another subject, and it goes all the way through your work life. You get up at a certain time, you go to bed at a certain time, you go to work at a certain time, you work so long on this one, your lunch is at a set time, all that kind of stuff. So the world is generally set up for time-oriented people. It's also set up for morning people, which is a whole other story, which is totally not fair. But anyway, the world is mostly set up for time-oriented people, and so are most of the calendars. However, if you are a project-oriented person, I'm definitely one of those. If you are a fellow project-oriented person, calendars aren't really set up for us because of course they're all in, time slots, and people can say how great time blocking is all they want. If you're a project-oriented person, it does not work. It just does not work because you need to get either an entire project done or a certain section of a project done in order to feel fulfilled, like you've actually accomplished something. Working at it for a set amount of time, no matter how much you get done on it, is not fulfilling unless you've gotten done what you needed to get done. So you can kind of hack calendars like the Google Calendar to be more geared toward project-oriented people by basically ignoring the times. You still have to use the time slots in order to stack this, but this is kind of how it works. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and hopefully it will make your life a little easier. And then when I post the reusable planner in a couple of weeks, you can make one of those and use it in correlation with whatever project-oriented calendar that you are using.
Okay, so this is a blank calendar, and I'm just going to use this as an example calendar. So to add something to your calendar, just click on whatever day that you want to add something. You just click on the day and your little thing pops up here, and you can just put in whatever you want to put in. So let's just say like feed animals. So you put that in, and there's a bunch of other stuff you can do. You can find a time, you can add a time, you can just save it. And if you just save it, then you just get the little thing that sits like that. There's no time on it. It just stays there all day. You can go back and edit it if you want to add a time. Edit the event. And so over here it's on all day. So if you want to add a time, you can just uncheck that. And we can just say 10 a.m. That sounds great. And then over here on does not repeat, this is where you can customize it. So you could have it repeat daily. You could have it repeat weekly on Sunday, so it only come up on Sunday. You could have it go every day. There's a lot of different options. You can customize it, so let's say that your husband feeds the dog on Tuesday and you feed it every other day of the week, so you could go right across and feed it every day of the week except for Tuesday, and your husband can do that or whatever. I'm just going to check everything here. So for the purposes of this calendar, we'll just stick it on every day, and so then it's now across your entire calendar. So let's just delete that right out of there. Yeah, we're just going to delete all the events. So if you're project-oriented, you're probably not going to want to add times, but we have to use the times, but I'll get to that in a second. So if you're project-oriented, just go through and add in everything that you would normally do in your day. These are just the daily things, not the random things that come up, so don't add in appointments or anything, just add in the normal things you would normally do in your day. And I'm just going to do a simplified version here just to keep the tutorial simple and easy. And because some things in my life I just like to keep private. The number of days that I devote to training my dragon are none of your damn business. Okay, so here I've got a very abridged version of everything that I do in a day, but the default is for it to stack them in alphabetical order, which I will definitely want to change. But first, I go through and I color code everything so that similar tasks are the same color. So like the stuff that I would do in the morning, you just right click it, and I'll just change that blue. So there we go. So it'd be like charging the batteries I would do in the morning, feeding the animals would be something I'd do in the morning, usually go for a morning walk, the morning social media post, that'd be a morning thing. And so then those would be what I call morning work. Those would be before I actually start any kind of like hard work for the day. And so then later on it would be like filming videos. So we'll just make that green. Flowers, depending on what the season is, it could be flowers. It could be making different crafts for the market, like candles. So that's like the bulk work of my day would be that kind of stuff. So we'll just put those in green. Usually after I get the bulk of the work done, that's when I like to meditate for a little bit, because it just kind of relaxes me a little bit after I get the hard work of the day done. So I like to meditate there, and then do like the daily chores. That would be like your house cleaning, your dishes, your laundry, stuff like that. And then after that I usually do like computer work. So that would be like cutting videos, doing my emails, checking my social media feeds. It's different than posting. That would be where I interact with other people on social media, as opposed to the morning blue one where I just post my stuff. And then in the evening, I do right before bed. I don't always get to. Sometimes I've had too much to do. But in the evening, I like to either like play guitar or read or do a little bit of fiction writing, something like that, for just a little bit before bed, so I can relax before bed. So I have all my stuff color-coded. And for something like the daily chores, the fun things about these are when you're editing them, you can go down, you can add a description down here. So you could, list the different chores that you would do. So you could do dishes, laundry, groceries, house cleaning, whatever you normally do around your house. In my case, sometimes you have to do firewood in the winter. In the summer, you could do lawn mowing, whatever your household chores are. And for me, I like to do only like a couple of these a day, so I'd rather do a couple big batches of dishes all on one day rather than having to do several small batches of dishes several days in a row. So that's the way that I do that, because again, I'm project oriented, not time oriented, which is why I like to get my projects finished. So I usually like to do several of these a day, but do them in big batches, so I don't have to do all these every day. So that's the way I do that. But once you've got your little list of stuff in your description, you can save it, and then when you go over here and you click on it, then your whole list is right there. So you don't have to put in a new one each day for each day, and that way if you have something going on Tuesday and you can't get to one of these chores, then it doesn't screw up your whole schedule, because you're just looking at the list and knowing, oh, I did dishes yesterday, I'm doing laundry today. And so that's how that works. And so for project-oriented people, we like to just go until the project or the piece of a project is done. So for example, when I'm doing flowers, I can't just do flowers for an hour and say I'm done for the day. I have to go until all the flowers are done, otherwise the flowers get wasted. So that's why project-oriented way of working is very good for me. Calendars are generally set up for times, and I'm going to use the times, but I actually ignore the times. So what I do is take one of them and I will add a time to it. So in this case, we're just going to say that we do this every day. We're going to say 10 a.m. Okay, so that looks great. So we'll put that at 10 a.m. And then the next one we're going to do, so see it comes down here like that. It's 10 a.m. Gives it a nice, neat thing. And then after I charge my batteries, we'll say I like to feed the animals next. So then I'll just put that, again, we'll say we do that every day. And we want that lower than the charging the batteries, so I'm going to put that at 11 a.m. So we'll just pop that in there. So that one, so you can see it's starting to add up. Like this one still got all the stuff, but over here on Monday, it's starting to add up. So 10 a.m. charging the batteries, 11 a.m. feeding the animals. Again, the times have nothing to do with it. It probably takes me like 10 minutes to charge the batteries, so I'm not charging batteries from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., but this is just to keep everything in order the way I want it to be. And my projects take as long as they take. My tasks take as long as they take. I don't have time limits on the task. The times on these are just so that I can get them in the order that I want them in. So now I've got these stacked in the exact order that I want to do them. So that's why I use the times, because it allows me to put them in the order that I want to do them. And also by separating them by an hour apiece, it allows me to slip something else into the time segments if I need to. So I've got a lot of time segments to play with in between each of my regular items. So for example, let's say that I've just started doing videos and I decide that I want to post them on Wednesday nights, which is actually true. So I'll want to add them to the Wednesday list. I want to add it into between my red and my yellows, because my yellows are my computer work, and I would want it to be the first thing that I would do on computer work so it didn't get too late into the evening. Again, I don't put times on anything, but I know that usually I'm finished with my chores somewhere around like 7 or 8 o'clock. Sometimes it's earlier, sometimes it's not, but so I'd want it to be right in between the chores and the computer work. You know, so basically I want right in between chores and cutting videos. So the chores is at 6 p.m. and the cutting videos is at 7 p.m. So if I want to add this, I'm just going to add post video, and we'll put that at 6:15 p.m. because that's right in between the other two, and it still allows me room to throw in some other stuff. So there it is down there. I'm going to right click and change it yellow so that it matches the rest of my computer work, so that my brain cues in immediately that that is computer work. And then I've got that on there, and I will go in and edit that so that it repeats weekly on Wednesday. And so that way I've got it in there. It's in there every Wednesday, so I can do that. So that's how I do that. Now, some things you're not going to put in your daily list because they won't repeat every day. So those would be things like, say I needed to add, if I needed to edit some photos. I could just put that in there, and I wouldn't put a time on it at all, because that way it would be right at the top, and that would be a random thing that I know I would have to fit into my day. It doesn't necessarily go, obviously I don't do things by time, so it wouldn't be at any specific time. It'd just be somewhere in the schedule when I felt like I wanted to do it that day. I would go into it. I'd probably do it somewhere after the chores, because I'd have a few minutes before I'd start on my computer work, so I'd probably do my random stuff then. So that is where I would stick that, and I would leave it. I wouldn't put a time on it because I don't want it in my main list. I would leave it just as the default little box here so that it shows right up, so I know that, okay, on Monday the 3rd, I'm going to have to edit some photos. And then, let's see, on Wednesday the 12th, I'm going to have to order some supplies. Maybe Friday I want to edit my website, There's something on there that maybe I need to change, so you just stick that in there, remind myself I need to do that. So these are all the things that wouldn't have times. Now, even for project-oriented people, there are some things that have to have a set time on them. So, for example, if you had to take your dog to the vet, and that would be at 3 p.m. Well, if you just go take dog to the vet at 3 p.m. and hit enter, then it's just going to get lost somewhere in here, and it's going to end up in your list with all your stuff to do, which, since project-oriented people aren't actually using these times, you might, I might not get done with my filming until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because I go until the project is done, so I realize too late that I have to take my dog to the vet, which is why I don't do it like that. If I need to stick in something with a time, I go take dog to vet, and then I would stick in 3. I'd just write down 3. You don't put down the PM, AM, then the calendar doesn't read it, so it keeps it right on top, just like that. And then I would change the color to red, because the red signal to me that it's a task with the time, so that's why I do that. So it's, be like, take dog to vet 3. Oh, okay, so on Monday I have to take the dog to the vet at 3 o'clock. That way it's always in my head, and I remember it. It's sticking right there. I know exactly where it is. It's not getting lost somewhere in the list where I'm going to realize it too late. So say, you want to take your dog to the vet there. On Thursday you've got lunch with friends, and that's at 4:30. So to do that, I would go 4-30, and that way again, it won't stick it down the list. It'll keep it right on top. And change it red again. Okay, let's say you're getting up to play golf with friends and you want to get up early, so you don't want this to be an afternoon one. You can go, 5-AM. And that way, when you use the dashes, it still stays on top, so it doesn't get lost down in there. And the reason why I do it like this is because that way I can glance at the calendar, see exactly what I've got, planned when, and that way when I'm planning out other stuff, I'm not overlapping things, and I know exactly what I've got to do when at a really quick glance without having to actually, pull up the whole list for a specific day. So that makes my life easy. That's the way I like to do that. And the things I don't add in here are, I don't add in like meal times and stuff because I just eat when I'm hungry, so I don't actually put those on my calendar. I eat when I'm hungry, and I don't really map those out because they may not fit in with my projects. I might get hungry before I'm done with the project, so I just eat and then I finish the project. So that's why I don't have meal times or anything. So this is just kind of a way to hack time-oriented calendars for project-oriented people. So that is the way that I do that. So in a couple weeks, I'll have a little planner that kind of goes in correlation with this, so that you can use that for your, the other parts of your life, like the main goals and stuff, and it's reusable, so be nice and eco-friendly.